What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and we haven't had one of these in a while. Not since Andrew Gaff have we been talking about such a flagrant, violent act on a football field. Tom Lynch, Richmond's Tom Lynch, has thrown hands in a big Alistair Lynch-inspired way, Barry Hall-inspired way this weekend against Adelaide, and right now we are awaiting a final outcome from this scenario. Will he get weeks? How many weeks will he get? How will it be graded? Will it go straight to the tribunal? There's a whole host of questions that need to be asked about this particular scenario. It's a pretty uncommon thing in the game of AFL these days to see such a violent and deliberate act in the game. Now, there's been all this talk. He was frustrated. Maybe he was being kind of restrained illegally within the confines of the AFL rules, but rarely do we see a player kind of lash out like this. Now, Tom Lynch is a bit of a thug in the way he plays sometimes. This is not out of the realms when it comes to him. He plays on the edge. And sometimes players who play on the edge step over it. We've seen it with Stephen May as another high-profile example. I guess a former teammate also of Tom Lynch's back in the day too. We've seen, obviously, Barry Hall. You get some scenarios like Andrew Gaff, which is just a brain fart of the highest order, where he collected Andrew Brayshaw. There's been a range of these cases in recent years, but it's been quite a while, I guess. Like, you know, what I rattled off there is pretty much everything for the century almost. There's been some sniping acts. I think about, you know, Matthew Lloyd on Brad Sewell or against Hawthorn, but he collected Brad Sewell. But in terms of, you know, punches being thrown like that, it's been a while. So I want to pick through what happened, and we've got a clip here. We're only going to play a couple seconds of it because I don't want to get demonetized by Channel 7 in the process here. And then we're going to jump into the MRO and the grading system that we have in play to try and work out what the outcome might be here. And it's a tricky one. So let's take a look at the clip here. We're only going to play a couple seconds. There's not going to be any audio. We're just going to kind of take it in for what it is, and we'll see the second or two before the act occurs, and then that's about all we'll watch. So we can see the ball's coming here. You can see Tom Lynch centered in the middle of the screen right now, kind of locked up with the defender, and we can see how it plays out. Boom. Now, at face value, not the biggest hit in the like. And if we continue to watch it on, we see the defender kind of sitting there holding his head for a moment, and he gets up. So thankfully, first and most important thing, there has been no damage to that player. But now the question is, what is the consequence? We'll get into that after a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's pick apart what comes from this. And I guess the last time we had a huge, very high profile, significant suspension for an act, it was, as far as I'm concerned, there could be something else in the middle I'm forgetting, but I'm thinking like St. Kilda's Jimmy Webster and that head high bump that he collected Jai Simpkin with. And that was huge. That was a massive hit. And there was a lot of weeks that he got. We put a video about it. It kind of went bananas actually at the time. Thank you to everyone who watched that. And maybe some of you are back for this one as well. But that was a huge hit and it cost him a long time. That was at least still a footballing act that was horrifically executed. This is a different beast. So what I'm about to project here on the screen, bear with me, it's going to be a little bit hard to see. It is the AFL Tribunal report. It's basically the guidelines for how everything works. And what we're going to hone in on here, and I've blown it up full screen so that everyone can see it because it's relatively small when we look at it here. Is this section in the bottom left corner that relates to grading classifiable offences. And what we're looking at when it comes to this particular case is, of course, the intentional half here. I don't think there's anyone watching right now, and please out yourself in the comments if you believe otherwise. Hi to all the Richmond supporters who dare to suggest that this wasn't a deliberate act. I think we're all on the same page. This is an intentional act. So then we're getting down to the conversation of, is it high or is it severe in terms of its impact? Because depending on, like, if we classify it as severe, we're off the tribunal. If it's classified as high, the maximum penalty is 3 weeks. And I think that's what he would get in that scenario. So the conversation is, does Tom Lynch receive a severe classification? Because if he does, then the absolute highest tier of the sanction section here will be what's applied, 4 or more weeks. And that's where it goes to the tribunal. And that's severe high contact or to the groin. Now, the question is, will he receive that? And so I guess the conversation now becomes, does this get classified as high impact or severe impact? And for my mind, and it's because of this stupid system that we've got, really, where we're trying to apply a very binary process to something that is absolutely not black and white, binary, cut and dry, like the Matrix is supposed to be. Tom Lynch has thrown his fist at a player, collected him in the head, and I think it's only high because he kind of rubs his head and gets up and goes on with the game. There's no concussion concerns. I don't know if a HIA was done on him, but there's been no concussion concerns as of when I recorded this. He played out the game, like nothing to see. It's almost like he didn't really quite make the contact properly. But it's such a blatant and deliberate act that I want it to be classified as severe. And again, sorry, Geelong supporters, we're butting heads against Richmond supporters these days. That's not where this comes from. This is about making sure that when people do the wrong thing in this game, that they catch the appropriate consequence. Doesn't look, if a Geelong player did this, I'd be kind of in the same spot where this is something that I feel like the act deserves 4+. But because of the outcome, and we know that when it comes to bumps and all those sorts of things that the AFL's looked at in the last few years, that the outcome is what they focus on. And so based on that, we're only talking about a 3-week suspension as far as I'm concerned, because I think it'll be classified as high impact, not severe. And so we're stuck with a very binary system that means that a player who deserves much more than 3 weeks, 4 at least, but 4+ as far as I'm concerned. If I was to put a number on it, I'd say 5, because you want to disincentivize at the same time. You need to make a statement. You cannot allow these things to slip through. You cannot afford to be gentle with a player in this scenario, because then you create a precedent. 5 for me is the number, but what I think he's going to get is 3 because of how this system works. And this is a wonderful, horrible, but wonderful example of how broken the MRO matrix is. Everyone watching, Geelong supporters, Richmond supporters, Adelaide supporters, and anyone else, let me know what you think in the comments section here about Tom Lynch. Will he get weeks? How many weeks will he get? Will be classified high, severe? What's going to come from it? I want 5. I think 3. And that would be really unfortunate. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube, like this video, share it with your friends and family, get the word out there about the Hoops Crew, all the content we're creating, and we are trying to have really good, meaningful conversations with you, the audience, and we hope that you can engage properly with that. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/thehoopscrew, where you can subscribe for 7 days of free trial access to all of the content we're producing. That's early access content, extended content, and exclusives as well. It costs $5 a month after that to continue to get the content delivered directly to your email inbox. Check it out. We're doing some really awesome stuff. In terms of socials, you'll find me at Paul James Games. That's on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew, you'll find at the Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. I'll be watching this case with a lot of interest, as I'm sure many of you will be. Thank you all for giving me 10 minutes of your time. I much appreciate it. Remain Geelong strong. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.